Three, two. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very good morning. So welcome to the last session of the webinars for this week's celebration of International MSME Day, brought to us by Darussalam Enterprise. So hi guys, I am Ika from the Market Access Unit of Darussalam Enterprise, and here today we'll be talking about the power of collaboration. So this topic will be talking on the understanding of how powerful collaborations can be for businesses. For today's webinar, we have KadaiRuncit and Fueled, two companies you probably already know in Brunei. They will share about how each of them worked with other businesses to further promote their businesses, especially during the outbreak of the pandemic COVID-19. So if you're interested to learn more about how collaboration can help you as a business, so stay tuned. Without further ado, let's meet our panelists for today. Firstly, I would like to introduce Aizudin Fakhri from KadaiRuncit. Hi, how are you?
Good. How's
Good.
everything?
Maybe you want to share a bit of a background of KadaiRuncit for everyone to know.
All right. So KadaiRuncit actually started in 2017. We started based on KB because we were very worried that we might get too much orders. So that's where we tested the market. So that's when we launched our website, KadaiRuncit.com, an online grocery platform where you can order any groceries. Even if it's not there, you can always contact us. So that's pretty much it. We're an online grocery store.
Wow, so that's something quite different, yeah, for Brunei. But before going into it, let's meet Shazrinah Shazali from Fuel.
Hello. Hi.
You're doing well. So I know most of Bruneians, especially those who are into healthy food, probably know you, but for the others, maybe you want to introduce yourself?
Okay, so hi, I'm Shazrinah, Shaz for short. So I co-founded Fueled in October 2018, so we are almost 2 years old. We basically started this kind of like healthy fast food concept idea to be able to get healthier food out to Bruneians, as well as make it cheaper, more customizable, as well as fresh. We wanted to be able to create a platform where, you know, any diet or any person could come and, you know that they could have food which was better for them, as well as have fun in making what they want to eat as well. But yeah, we've got a lot of different projects in Fueled, so we try to think of ourselves more of a social enterprise in a sense that we try to do good with whatever access of funds we have. So we started doing community outreach, so going to schools and actually talking to pupils about healthy eating, as well as doing talks to teachers. And I think we've done 1 or 2 offices before. But yeah, we hope to extend more knowledge on, I guess, the benefits of better eating in Brunei, and as well, in a way, what our mission says, revolutionize healthy eating within the community.
Right, and I think it's slowly getting there because with the whole trending healthy, people wanting to get healthy, I think you guys really hit the mark for Brunei and entering the market at the time that you did. With our entrepreneurs today, we have a mentor from our BMEN network. So she'll be here to basically let us know whether the entrepreneurs did well or not during COVID in handling their situation and how they made use of collaboration. So let's welcome Ms. Edna Loa. Hi, Edna.
Hi, everyone. I'm Edna. I will be the mentor for today's session, and I'm already liking what I hear about social enterprising, contributing back to the society. In fact, I think every SMEs, nano SMEs, MSMEs are contributing to a social enterprise effort in Brunei right now. Well done.
So maybe you want to share, because as I know you are an expert in business development, business management, and then marketing strategy. So hopefully that you are able to impart your knowledge on business and market strategy for today.
I'm looking forward.
All right, so maybe without further ado, let's start with our session today. For those who have just joined, welcome. Today we'll be discussing power of collaboration. But before we go into collaboration, maybe I'll talk to Aizudin first. Can I refer to you as Din?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Din. So you mentioned that you wanted to offer the service and then you offered it in KB first because you weren't sure about the demand. But what made you want to start this business in the first place? Like, why grocery services online when grocery stores are basically accessible for Bruneians?
Yeah. We noticed that there's still demand for those who are busy, those who are overseas that wants to donate to their loved ones and families here, and those who actually in corporate that wants to donate to their team members. So that's where we kind of saw the gap there, and then we tried it first. We were quite skeptical, so but it doesn't hurt to try it out. So me and one of my other team member, we decided to just set it up with his KadaiRuncit and KB, and it worked. It worked over there. So then that's when we brought it back to Bandar, and that's where we expanded. And that's where we get to know more about our customers. We didn't expect to get any international customers actually. And we were surprised that we actually got customers not only from Asia, but also from Middle East. So which was quite good. And I guess it's because we tried and we just took the first step. And purely just for adventure, and now became a business.
I think because you guys had convenience in mind, yeah, when we wanted to offer this to locals, because Bruneians, if we could do things easier, we would. And then I think that's what KadaiRuncit wanted to offer.
Yeah.
So based on that, because you mentioned that you managed to reach international markets, was that's always been the case there while you guys opened? Because I'm surprised, what do they buy from Brunei?
Yeah, we were actually just expecting local market. And then ever since we had our payment solution, cashless solution, that's when it started popping off. That's when we started to say, oh, okay, there's actually demand in some of international markets to actually deliver to their loved one here. So, okay. So that's when we started seeing it.
Oh, that's sweet. Actually, that's very nice. A lot of Bruneian families are probably overseas too. And then that's interesting. But because of COVID, I just wanted to know, right? Because you're basically online already, even though there's a lot of businesses in Brunei, they shifted to e-commerce as a result of the pandemic. So how were the responses of your services different before and after the pandemic for you?
Okay, of course, during the pandemic, there was like a huge influx. We had a lot of new customers compared to our current customers during that time. But it's understandable because people were worried to go out, and that's why they got to try our services actually. So that's when we started to get more data, and we'll be able to understand more on what they purchase. And during the COVID time, that's where we do the crunch of the data and to understand more of what the products that people actually need. That's where we took some of the advantage during the COVID season. But in terms of like the experience, it wasn't easy at first. Of course, safety is our number one priority, and there was a lot more spending in terms of our getting our safety up, like into gloves, face masks, sanitizers. So that's where we had to sacrifice some of our margins for COVID season, yeah.
Like similar situation with MSMEs around Brunei. How about Shaz for Fueled? Because you've mentioned that you wanted to make healthy food more affordable and accessible. Due to COVID, I found out that you had to close one of your branches, right?
Yeah, we made a rational decision to close one of our branches just to be able to kind of maximize our staff. We knew that like with 2 branches, we would have to have more part-timers come in to be able to operate normally. So that was more of a rational decision to cut some of our overheads as well. So not have to pay electricity for 2 branches, not have to pay, extra in part-timers. But in a way, it worked out to our favor as well because we were able to push out our own delivery in-house because of that. So it was a risky decision because we did lose out on a lot of the market in Hulap itself. But at the same time, sometimes you have to do things in order to ensure that you can stay afloat because, when COVID started, everyone didn't know how long it would last. And everyone was saying, 6 months, maybe 6 months, maybe a year, we don't know. And then thankfully, in Brunei, it kind of normalized quite quickly. So yeah, I think we're very, very fortunate, I have to say, in Brunei as well.
Exactly. But feel you're compared to other MSMEs in Brunei, where a lot of companies have to make the shift. Like I mentioned to Aizudin, he already had that online platform. I believe Fuel also already has that online platform. So you decided. I found out that did you decide to join? I think Heydomo or Community for Brunei during that time?
Yeah. So before COVID, we were already on Heydomo. Okay. And then when COVID started, opportunities like Community for Brunei came up because we were, I don't want to say, but we were one of the first few that actually opened for open donations. And before Community for Brunei came in, we were already doing that. And, it's a fantastic initiative that they started because, now a lot more home vendors, a lot more smaller businesses were able to also push out food through donations to frontliners. And then a few weeks ago, we started with Tapao as well. Yeah, so now we're on Tapao as well, on top of Heydomo and Community.
I'll put a little note to Shaz. Actually, during the COVID period, a lot of companies will tend to look into things like hibernation. Some companies will go into transition. Some may do rebranding. So I would think your idea on re-strategizing to close one at the moment to maximize the capacity of the current running one is a very, very good idea. In fact, this was adopted from the late Lee Kuan Yew from Singapore. He did mention during the crisis in 1997 and during SARS, what they were looking for is not the worry of laying off staff, but the longevity of current businesses running, because if these businesses close and when the economy starts to pick up, there will be no companies to sustain employment for these staff. So it's a good effort. Don't worry about cutting up staff. They will understand that it is necessary for the company to run. Now you are running, you're doing different initiatives, slowly but surely. COVID hasn't ended yet. So I would think that even KadaiRuncit is doing a really good effort putting it online as well. A lot of foreign, myself and my friends and families overseas did want to contribute to Brunei. And I would say before COVID, a lot of opportunities were not given for online purchase. They have to go through internet banking. They will have to go through someone to pay for them first to get something there. As simple as a birthday cake, we couldn't send it physically, but now we can do it via online platforms that, like Shaz mentioned, Community for Brunei. It's a good effort that we see coming along.
Exactly. And maybe for Shaz, because it was an easy shift for you to join all these platforms, it also gave that opportunity because you're used to working with all these other businesses, so you get to collaborate much more easier with like other collaborators. So maybe because we are talking about power of collaboration, why don't you share with us like what collaborations you've done during the outbreak in Brunei?
Okay. I think before I go into that, I just wanted to mention that, being a small country, one of the things that I make sure when doing business is that I am business collaborative rather than business competitive, because when we're in a small country, resources not are limited, you know, and in terms of starting funds as well, sometimes you can't do everything. So being able to collaborate is really good because it helps you with being able to utilize each other's platforms, each other's customer base to put out certain missions that you both want to set. So during COVID, a few of the people that we collaborated with was, for example, Rep Athlete. So Rep Athlete had launched their stay-at-home shirt, and because of that, we decided that for every shirt that was bought, Rep Athlete will donate a bowl, and we would donate a bowl to frontliners. And that was quite a nice initiative because during the early stages of COVID, open donations was actually helping us a lot with staying afloat during that really uncertain time. And then as we moved on to fasting month, when it's already a known dry season for a lot of F&B, we collaborated with the because, you know, we do food and they do kind of like healthy desserts. So we wanted to give our customers who are ordering our meal plans something else that they could enjoy, you know, without having to worry about going out to get a acai bar or going out to get fueled as well. So making, I guess, like healthier services more convenient for people. Let me just think, what was the other one that we collaborated with?
Wildflower.
Yeah, and the other one, the other business that we collaborated with because of COVID as well was the Collective Wildflower. So what happened was when COVID started and the notice came that all gyms had to close, there was no traffic going into peak performance where their cafe was located. So what happened was we asked them, hey, do you want to come set up shop at Fueled Sursub to, you know, utilize our walk-in traffic to be able to sell your coffee or sell goods. And what we did as well was if people ordered coffee on our online platform, we would give that order to them instead of take it ourselves. So we totally stopped kind of like doing coffee drinks just so that we could help maximize coffee sales for them instead.
I think that's that's quite a few collaborations you've done over a span of, I think Renai was hit with COVID in March, so it's been 3 months, 4 months, because we've already started de-escalating. So, because you mentioned earlier that you are a business collaborative, it's in your nature to want to work with people because why not work with something that's already available rather than starting from scratch? But other than that, how do you decide who to collaborate with? I'm thinking that's probably one of the things a lot of businesses want to know, like what key things do you look at in terms of looking for potential partners or people just to work with? Yeah.
I think when you look into collaboration, it's always working with people who want to do something that shares a common goal. So like with Wildflower, for example, you know, we both wanted to stay afloat during COVID. We both wanted to make sure we're still able to make sales. So, you know, we came together to be able to utilize each other's traffic and each other's customers to, you know, keep sales going, for example. With Rep
you rise and rise together.
Yeah, and then now we have Glow Together as well, which is another form of collaboration. So I'll get into that as well and how it all started too, because, you know, it's quite interesting because with Fuel, like we have contract farming with Rimba Garden Center. So that's another form of partnership and collaboration that we do with Fuel. And that opened this opportunity where I am now with all the plants. But yeah, if you are smart in terms of talking and being open about what your goals are for your business, a lot of the time people will come and approach you and say, hey, you know, I want to do something good for the community, just like Rap Athletes. We want to do something good for the community. Since you're already doing open donations, how can we help? You know, so sometimes it just starts with doing something first and then people approach you after, or the other way around. You're already talking to the person, you're already understanding, you know, maybe struggles that they're going through. They understand the struggles that you're going through. And then we sit down and come up with a solution. Okay, how can we help each other? You know, how can we pool our resources to, you know, benefit each other without trying to compete with each other necessarily?
Yeah, I think that's really good advice. How about for Aizudin? Because I noticed that you've collaborated with Scott for the last couple of years. Why did you decide to collaborate with an NGO?
Actually, we had a lot of customers asking us, even before we collaborated, we had a lot of customers asking us if they are able to send this to like a family that's in need, but we didn't had any access to the list of families that are struggling. So, and then as soon as we received multiple requests, we started to look for someone who was an expert in this area, because we didn't want to diverge into a new sector where we didn't have any experience. And that's when we got in touch with Scott. And then it was actually aligned with what they were looking for. We actually had the meeting at night. And then from there, I think we signed an MOU with them, and then we started collaborating together. So luckily, fortunately for us, we started the collaboration quite early before the COVID hit. So even when the COVID came, we already had our experience, our foundation in place. So when we executed for the second year, it was quite almost the same procedure, same protocol, just more enhanced in terms of safety.
So other than that, what was the strategy behind choosing an NGO other than like customers approaching you, like whether you are able to help with these forms of charity? So why did you try to collaborate with other businesses as well?
Because an NGO would be an entity who would be very experienced in these areas, whose goal is basically to either eradicate poverty, to help those in need. So that's where we identify them as a good partner or a good collaborator to work with.
So you know that they are going to work with you with very positive mindset in mind, right?
Yeah.
So how was the outcome out of working with an NGO versus, because Shaz would be working with several other businesses, but for KadaiRuncit, what came out of it? Like, did more customers use your service? How was it?
It became like a new experience. Even during our first initial charity drive, where Scott ran their charity drive with us, it was for 80 families, and we actually reached that goal quite fast. And we didn't expect it at first, but we actually received more than we anticipated. We had like almost a ton of rice, and then from there, because of they have the expertise to know who are struggling, who they have the list, then we can work with them to fulfill the last mile.
Actually, I come to realize especially during COVID, Bruneians and those residing in Brunei have really strong philanthropist spirit.
Very giving. That's nice.
Yes.
To know that Bruneians are very giving.
Yeah.
So really, because you started working with Scott earlier on, so it's just business as usual for KadaiRuncit, isn't it? But still, I'm pretty sure there are other benefits that you reap out of it. I'm pretty sure due to all these charities that you've supported Scott with, more people know about KadaiRuncit. And I suppose since COVID, a lot of people were less likely to step out of the house to do groceries, but you guys managed to get more business out of it.
Yes, it was all about having the trust there. So when we work with Scott, we build trust amongst each other, and we also build trust with our customer, which is very important to us.
So when we talk about MSMEs or SMEs in Brunei, with the power of collaboration, the idea is not just co-crossing similar and different industries and building each other up, but that's where we spend minimal on advertising and minimal on marketing. I don't exactly endorse paid marketing, especially for online. But of course, big marketing agencies, they have their good drive, but we're talking about supporting SMEs and nano, and we're supporting NGOs through this drive. or through the effort from the SMEs. Working collaboratively, you are pushing your name out, you're pushing others' names out, and you are pushing initiatives that people don't know yet, like Scott. Some people residing in Brunei have not been in Brunei for a long time, may not know what Scott is. So it's a good platform and effort to bring that out. But at the same time, when you have all these kind of small collaborations, you're bringing up other platforms that are surfacing, just starting to surface in Brunei.
So yeah, I think it's a very interesting take on collaboration, because that is more towards like what most large companies would just consider as CSR, working with charity. But for a smaller company like yours, it's that opportunity to really get your name out there while doing something that eventually does benefit your e-commerce platform. But I'm sure like when you work with different companies, different organizations, there are challenges that come with it. Was there any, and then how did you overcome it? Maybe Shaz, do you have any? Because you worked with a lot of companies throughout this time.
I think so. If we're not speaking about COVID in particular, I think in general with collaborations, you're always working with people. So there's always going to be, you know, natural conflicts when it comes to working with people. Maybe sometimes it's conflict in terms of, you know, what each other wants. But a lot of the time, the conflicts are very small things that are very easy to kind of manage or, you know, talk through. So I think when it comes to sitting down and wanting to collaborate something with someone, it's very important to talk about, you know, the collaboration and understand what each other wants out of it, because you know sometimes there's a lot of misunderstanding or misinterpretations when it comes to collaborating with people, or people may feel offended, like recognition is only going to one person and not the other, you know. So it can be a sensitive area, I would say, but as long as you lay down your grounds for each other, I think it more or less most of the time it's very peaceful, you know. A lot of people come out very happy out of it.
Yeah, as long as you make it clear what you put into it and what they are going to put into it. How about for Aizudin? Were there any challenges that you had to overcome?
Yeah, especially when it's a first time collaboration. So communication is key. Like you have to keep on top of each other, making sure everything is on track. So for us, having a group chat with not too many people, but just the necessary people is good. You don't want to have too many people in the group because it just becomes a mess. So that's what our experience, and that's what we found out, that we need to actually keep the communication up to par with each other.
So definitely communication is important in every aspect. So, like Shaz mentioned, you want to make it clear what each of you want to bring into a project, and then with the right communication, you should be able to reach that goal in a more like well-planned manner. So for those who have joined the webinar, if you have any questions for any of our panelists, do shoot them out through our chat, or just let us know if you have any questions, and I'll be glad to share them with the panelists. So before we go forward, Edna, do you have anything else you want to share in terms of feedback for Shaz or Aizudin?
Well, when you sit down and talk to discuss, when you start any kind of conversation, especially when it comes to collaboration, because collaboration, it comes with two different parties. It's great that you already talk about what goals you have, and they talk about what goals they have, and you amalgamate that goal. But also talk about your tolerance level and ask them what are their tolerance level, what can they accept and what can they not accept, because we have different levels of acceptance. We assume that we can accept this much and they would be the same, but let's put that aside. Always give a benefit of doubt and ask them what is their tolerance level. If it comes to donation, what's your highest acceptable donation? If you're tolerating on 100% or 50%, tolerance level doesn't have to come in percentages. It also can come in collaborative, let's say, on conversations, even as simple as WhatsApp. If they're texting late at night, are you expected to reply in the midnight? Just let them know gently. Always put messages out gently, but speak out your tolerance level, and do ask them what's your tolerance level. If you have any questions, please ask me.
Can I just follow on with what Adna said, actually?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sure.
Actually, it's a very interesting point that you made, because like when it came to doing open donations, we had like such a big influx of donations coming in, and like at that time, because when I studied for my degree, I was with a lot of people who are now doctors and dentists in Ministry of Health. So they were saying that, you know, like yes, they're very thankful that there's a lot of food that's being donated, but sometimes there's too much food. So one thing that we did was that we ended up, instead of sending 200 bowls in a day, we'd send, you know, 40 bowls. So we capped it, and then we'll just inform people who wanted to donate that, okay, the next slot is on this day, and you know whatnot. It's not that we didn't have the tolerance to be able to produce that amount of food. It's just that we also wanted to make sure that the people who we were doing it for, like the frontliners, we were able to, in a way, collaborate, but also communicate with them what the current situation was in terms of food being donated to them, you know, what was actually happening to the food that was being donated to them. And, you know, for us, that is important, because we have a very low wastage mentality. We don't want to waste food, because, you know, that's something that we really don't want to do. And, you know, being able to understand that was really important to us too.
I think that's great. It's like an innovative solution where you end up like, essentially collaborations are just communicating and making sure like whoever you're working with or whoever you're talking to understands what message you want to do. In this case, both sides did not want to waste food, hence you made the strategy that you did. So we have a few questions here, one for Shaz from Lokman. He asked, how long did it take for you to decide to close your branch, and what did you do before you made that decision besides calculating your overheads?
The first thing we looked at was the current traffic going into the shop. Obviously, when the minister announced that we were not allowed to put any staff on unpaid leave, we had to think about solutions to be able to still push out food, to be able to earn enough to pay wages, and also, I guess, like innovate in terms of getting sales up. So one of the things that we looked at, because I was also part of the ASEAN Women's Entrepreneurship Program run by DARE as well, which was recently done, actually during COVID, but before it came into Brunei. And one of our mentors there, Udesh, he had a video call with all of us ladies to actually talk about, you know, things to consider when being open during COVID, and, you know, what are ways that we can make sure that we can at least stay afloat for the next few months. So I think having mentors as well to kind of like give you a picture of what could be if you still go on as normal, rather than re-strategize, is good, because it kind of like puts you on your toes to actually make sure that what you're doing is for the best of everybody, say, kind of thing. But yeah, we talked to a lot of people. I talked to Bakhtiar, my business partner, as well. See, you know, are you okay if we do this? We spoke to the landlords, you know, if we are not operating, you know, what are the compensations we can have for it. So I think if we weren't able to get compensations for rental, for example, then it wouldn't make sense to close at the same time, because it's like you have a huge overhead running, and if you're not in there, then what are you going to do? So we're very lucky that our landlady in Kilap was very understanding, and that allowed us to just be housed in one location and just maximize all our staffing. So there's a lot of back end conversations happening with people who are also involved in the whole situation. So from your landlords to your producers to all the people who supply you as well, and then your staff, to be transparent about the current situation and what we're looking at doing. So I remember, like, we used to sit in the shop at 5 o'clock and all listen to the conferences together. And then we decide, okay, there's a new restriction that has been implemented. What do we need to do for tomorrow, for example? So, yeah, it was a lot of like every day, always re-strategizing based on news that we were given, and updates that were given for COVID as well.
Yeah. So it's a matter of building that relationship, that business relationship with every stakeholder that's involved in your business. So making sure that you're trying to do something that would benefit everyone as best as you can. So for Aizudin, we have another question for you. I think this person is curious because you mentioned that you have customers outside of the country. So they asked, what shipping courier do you use to ship your items to outside countries?
We actually use multiple. It depends on the customer. So we would actually get a multiple quote, and then the customer will be able to select which one they prefer. But make sure you choose the one that has a tracking number, because you don't want to get in trouble where they would claim that they didn't receive the item, and then they will go to the bank and then they will take your money. So that's why we always select the one that's with a tracking number, even if it's using EMS, because they use tracking numbers as well, DHL, FedEx. Those are the kind of couriers that we go for.
I hope we've answered your question, Lokman and Abdul Ghani. So anybody else who has any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat right here so we can ask them as well. So, because Shaz mentioned earlier that you had to talk to your landlords and whatnot. But now that everything's de-escalating, you're opening up again your Kulap shop. I was just there yesterday, actually. With the de-escalation, what happened to your collaboration? For example, with the Wildflower, they sold coffee in one of your branches. How is it going now? Is it still?
I think once they were able to start operating again, they opened back at RBRC. So in a way, we were also kind of like testing the grounds to see whether or not it was a worthwhile collaboration too, because sometimes you collaborate with people and it may not benefit them. So it's good to be honest about it as well. So for them, they were struggling with getting people to actually make coffees on some days. So it ended up being quite difficult for them, although they were making coffee sales. So, after almost a month, then they decided to just close and focus on food takeaway orders. And then that's when Community for Brunei started. So like Shini got really busy as well on top of that. Yeah. But it was a good thing that we did that, because we were able to see, working with people and provide, giving up one of our services to allow someone else to do it, whether it was a worthwhile collaboration or not. And sometimes we have to understand, we get to know the other business as well better, because I think when the whole COVID situation started, one thing that us as owners, or even my own staff managers, one thing that we had to deal with the most was fear within our own staff. is it okay for me to work? You know, I'm really scared to work. What if something happens to us? You know, so there was a lot of fear that we had to manage as well. Um, and yeah, I think when you collaborate, you get to talk to other business owners. You know, how do you manage your staff's expectation in terms of fears towards COVID? You know, how do you motivate them to come into work and want to work? So there's a lot of people management, people emotional management that we have to do as well during the time.
Yeah. Aizudin, did you do something similar? Because you mentioned that when COVID first hit Brunei, a lot of your expenses went into ensuring that you were able to do your services safely.
Oh yes, we actually had to. I had to actually think of the safety of my staff. So that's the first thing. I had to get a hold of all the sanitizers, face masks, and gloves. I guess that's where all the rush people were trying to grab in the market. But also, like we work with runners as well, so we had to make sure that they had the mask, the gloves, and the sanitizer as well, to make sure that all the items being delivered safely, and also to ensure the safety of the runners. So it's not only our staff but also the third party that we work with. So yeah, a lot of expense went to that side.
So definitely, like, because you're technically, even though they're third party, you're collaborating with these runners. They're their own businesses too, even though they're like probably freelancing.
Yeah.
So you got to communicate that with them to ensure that KadaiRuncit maintains your quality, what you want to offer to your customers, right?
Yes.
Edna, do you want to add anything to this?
Okay, I'll start with Aizudin. Aizudin, a lot of local vendors, when they try to ship their products out of Brunei, they will always worry about the shipping fee higher than the actual product. You can actually educate your consumers that are outside of Brunei. Why are they first coming to you for this product? Is it because they don't have it outside? And some countries overseas, they don't allow that product to be shipped out of that country. So tell them the, I would say, unique selling point of why they should purchase from you, not a hard sale tactic, but for them to understand that what they're paying for is within the means of reasonable shipping, but yet what they're paying for is something that they really want to have. For example, some people would buy a really good face mask at $50 a piece, but the shipping is about $80 DHL, but they want to have it within the next 3 working days rather than it being stuck at the post office for 3 months. So sometimes reminding your consumers what they're paying for, it's a little, I would say, personal touch to help them understand what they're purchasing on. And
Can't.
Edna, can you hear me? Because your mic kind of went off a bit, so
yeah, it went. I think it went mute.
okay.
Oh wait,
Okay.
it's still mute.
One moment. So we're facing a little bit of a technical difficulty with Edna. I think your mic kind of went off earlier. Can you test it again? Hi, Edna, can you say something?
hear me now?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So
Where did I stop?
Aizudin, where did she stop? I hope you were listening.
She stopped at the reminding the customers of the.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just checking if you're here. Well, yeah, that's just a personal touch to your customers, to your consumers, to show that you care, and also why they should be purchasing from you. It's not a hard sale tactic, but it's also a means for you to get closer to consumers. The return rate will be better. For Shaz, the collaboration is not just with your strategic partners or your stakeholders. I realize you're also collaborating with your staff. You guys are listening to the conferences at 5 p.m. just to hear what's the next step, just to make sure everyone is in line So they know that they don't get instructions from you, but they know they understand that they're doing this as a whole, collectively as a company, but under the directives of the authorities, just to get things out safely to people, food and within time, safely with masks and gloves and so on. It's a good effort.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Edna, for the feedback. So maybe if Aizudin or Shaz, you have any questions for Edna, like this is your chance. You get this mentorship opportunity. If you have any questions, do you have any?
Let me think.
She gave enough feedback already.
Yeah, pretty much. She regarding the international customers as well. But luckily, some of our customers are willing to pay. Yeah, like I can give an example. Like some of the product is $30, and they would pay a shipping fee of like 100 plus.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm surprised. Maybe it's the international market. They can afford that. But if it was here, if it was me, I'd be thinking twice.
That's true. I would think twice, like, why would I pay that much more for a product that costs maybe less?
Yeah, I think that's where Anna explained about the personal touch, educating a bit more on the customer side.
Just curious, where is this customer coming from?
Middle East.
Okay, that's far.
Yeah.
Congratulations on reaching that far. So hopefully get more customers overseas. How about Shaz? Do you have any questions for Edna?
I wanted to ask actually, you know, like how there's a boom now of online platforms that, you know, you can be part of for a business. Obviously, we're not part of all, and there's a reason for it. What is a way to talk to other platforms that we actually want to be part of to make their services a bit more favorable? So for example, I won't mention the business name or anything. Let's say the commission that they ask is just too high for the margins that we have. How can you bring up the topic and kind of like get them to realize, you know, that it's not something that all F&Bs want to have, in a sense, like a lot of F&Bs, they don't want to go onto the platform because your commissions are just way too high. So how can we get them educated in terms of understanding margins for F&Bs?
Thank you for reaching out. Understand first why they have such commission. 100% of the commission goes back to them. 90% of the commission goes back to the staff. 50% goes to the delivery. What are their breakdowns of the commission? We try to understand first why they pace it and such. If we understand that they have, through that breakdown, they have, let's say, 10% tolerance, are they able to bring down that by 10%? For example, one of the project wanted to reach out using delivery, a delivery company, but they have set the price for delivery. But to that company, that their calculation, the delivery should not cost as much. But they come to understand that this delivery, the fee 100% goes to the drivers. That company does not take anything. We are in that age where we want to see where every dollar goes to. So if we know that that dollar goes back to them to benefit their company or their staff or their effort, their next NGO or their next CSR, you would tend to want to work with that. But for companies to work with platforms like that, for you to pull it to your benefit as well, have them understand your point of view, why you would think it's that high. Discuss it frankly, openly, gently, but yes, please discuss the tolerance level. Help them understand maybe that's why they have not been receiving such platforms. I would say different vendors working with them because
Your
Okay. She'll be with us in a bit. Okay, speak to the platform. So Anna's saying that you should speak to the platform to ensure that they understand where you're coming from. So that goes for, I guess, all other MSMEs as well. And was there anything else, Edna, that you'd like to add? Or that's the end?
I'm back.
You're back.
I'm sorry. All right. We are in the age where online platform is at large, but the demographics of people spending online are typically from 16 years old to, or maybe 12 years old to 50 years old. So people between these ages have actually the spending power. They are willing to spend, and they know the value of getting something, but let's say via online, or even for Aizudin's case, to purchase from overseas. So for them to want to acquire this product, why is it so? Why are they contributing, or why are they paying this amount for shipping, let's say? But for Shaz, for platforms to work with vendors like yourself, FMB, they will have to come in between. If let's say their tolerance level is only 1%, you probably only get a 1% discount of the actual fee. I would have to say it works both ways. They would also have to understand your profit margin. In some companies, they are willing, for some companies, some end users are willing to foot for that tolerance level. So the company doesn't want to pay an extra commission. Let's say you go outside, you buy a laptop, you don't want to spend 3% for credit card fees, but they have that device only to make the payment. They're willing to pay that 3%. Even if the laptop is $3,000, 3%.
Okay, so I didn't quite, couldn't lip read the last part, but I guess Edna was saying that customers, if they would find value in your products, they would still pay for however much, as long as you make them understand what comes out of it. I believe Edna is typing something, so I'll read it when she sends it. So for anybody else who has any questions, we're ending our sessions too, but we will be able to share the questions offline to our panelists. So if you want to find out more, we'll ask them to contact you offline. So it's okay, Edna. Are you in Brunei or are you in Singapore right now? So maybe like we can, oh, you're in Brunei. Apologies for the internet in Brunei. But hopefully everybody had a good time with this webinar. Hopefully Shaz and Aizudin, you managed to learn something new in terms of how to be a better collaborator in terms of business. Maybe before we end this session, any tips from Aizudin or Shaz for the businesses who are watching us right now?
Go online, take the business online. So you have physical customers coming in, also online customers coming in. And don't be afraid to start a new one if you're actually venturing to a new one.
Okay, thank you. How about Shaz? Any tips?
I would say form good relationships with your collaborators, because one thing that will come out of collaboration, if it goes well, is other opportunities as well. So if your collaborator gets an opportunity and they have a good relationship with you, they may pull you on board to that opportunity. So, you know, that one opportunity can turn into an opportunity not just for them, but for you or other people as well. So, you know, form good relationships with them, and be very transparent about, you know, your goals that you want to set for your business. Because when people think about, if people are presented with, okay, we want to better quality of life for Brunei, and it's a collaboration between the ministries and businesses, they may say, oh, what about field? Let's collaborate with them because they're already doing that. So yeah, do something that sticks in people's minds. So when they think about opportunities and it's in the line of your goals, they think of you straight away.
Yeah, I think those are really good advice, definitely from Aizudin. going online. We are entering that whole digital kind of lifestyle where everybody has to be online to be visible. I think it's a good tip. And then I think from there, it would be easier to find collaborators as well. From Shaz, your tip of building good relationships, I think that is something that you should practice in any aspect, not just business, but even in your personal life, to develop collaboration and just gain opportunities in whatever you do. I think that in itself is quite inspiring to be reminded about. So thank you guys for taking your time to be with us for this sharing session and then opening up about your experiences during the pandemic to Brunei, basically. So yeah, this is the end of the session. Thank you, Edna, for being here today. Is your mic working?
Yeah, it's working right now.
Maybe like one last few words before we say goodbye.
I'll speak this on the entrepreneur's point of view. When you collaborate with someone, shout their name out on the collaboration. Talk about them on your platform. Share their profile. Share what they do, so that others will see that, hey, they are a good game player. They're sportive. So be that supporting partner for your partner, and hopefully this will pay forward in a way. This culture will pay forward to the next vendor, so they will shout out for you as well.
Yeah, I think definitely the shout out thing, like I see it on Instagram a lot, so it must really work. So shout out to Fueled and KadaiRuncit for supporting DARE for International MSME Day for this final webinar. I hope everybody had a good session. Just to kind of wrap up, we talked about collaboration and opportunities. If you're interested in collaborating, if you're a small company interested to collaborate with a large company, we also have this linkage program called DARE Links that you can check out at DARE's website. And for those like have issues figuring out in terms of commission and like managing your finances, like Shaz was talking about earlier today, you can also attend our IDA classes. We have financial classes, trained by Noh here. So at DARE, if you're interested to join that, feel free to check us out on social media at Dar es Salaam Enterprise. And yeah, thank you guys for coming, and thank you for those who are watching. And signing out, happy International MSME Day. Bye. Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
1, 2, 3. All right.
Okay, thank you. Have a good day. Bye.
Bye.
Nice to meet you.